My girlfriend whispered, "I can't stay anymore, I'm with him now," and closed the door. For a second I honestly thought she was joking. I stood there in my socks on the cold tile, still holding the dish towel in my hand, staring at the spot where her face had been. The apartment seemed to inhale. I heard the soft click of the latch catching and then nothing. No footsteps, no elevator ding, just my own pulse thudding in my ears. The overhead light hummed, the way it always does right before it burns out, and there was this tiny smear from her thumb on the doorknob, a little crescent of moisturizer or makeup, I don't even know. My chest felt too tight for the amount of air that was actually going in. My first instinct was to reach for the handle. My hand even moved. The towel slipped from my fingers and landed in a crumpled heap at my feet. I pictured yanking the door open, calling her name down the hallway, forcing this into some big, dramatic confrontation where neighbors could peek out, and at least it would feel as huge and awful on the outside as it did in my rib cage. Instead, I just froze. My fingers hovered a few centimeters from the metal, trembling. The part of my brain that still works in emergencies whispered stupid things like, "You didn't turn off the stove, and you're going to drip water everywhere if you stand here, you idiot." I realized I'd left the tap running in the kitchen. The thin sound of water hitting stainless steel suddenly seemed deafening. It was a Sunday night, that weird grey kind of Sunday where the sky can't commit to raining or not, and you already feel the Monday dread starting to settle on your shoulders. We'd been together just over 3 years. In the version of my life I'd been carrying around in my head, this was the year we'd start talking about moving somewhere bigger, maybe saving for a wedding one day. In hers, apparently, this was the year she slowly fell in love with someone else, and then showed up at our apartment to tell me so, in a whisper, like she was embarrassed to say it too loud. I guess I should start earlier, because this didn't explode out of nowhere, even if it felt like it to me. I'm 28 male, and until about 4 hours ago I was in what I thought was a solid, long-term relationship with my girlfriend Lily. We met at a friend's trivia night at this pub that always smells like fried food and spilled beer, even on Monday mornings when they've just opened. My mate Daniel roped me into going because they needed someone who actually knows useless facts. Lily was on my team, sitting across from me with her hair in a messy ponytail and glasses slipping down her nose. She knew all the answers to the music round and absolutely nothing about geography. "How did you not know where Norway is?" I teased after we'd lost by 2 points. "I know where Norway is," she said, shoving a chip in her mouth. "I just panicked. Don't geography shame me on our first date." I remember blinking. This is a date. She looked me dead in the eye, shrugged one shoulder and said, "Isn't it?" She got my number by taking my phone, handing it back with her name and a little emoji next to it. "So you'll remember I'm the one who killed the geography round," she said. We started seeing each other once a week, then twice, then suddenly we'd gone a month without missing a day. It was easy in the way that makes you suspicious at first, like, is something bad going to happen to balance this out? We spent weekends wandering around markets, buying way too many plants for my tiny balcony. She'd curl up on my couch with her feet under my thighs and make fun of my Netflix taste. I learned she puts chili flakes on everything. She learned I will always steal the pickles off her burger. Lily works in events. When we met, she was doing weddings and corporate functions. Eventually she moved into bigger conferences and brand activations. She's one of those people who can walk into a chaotic room and somehow get everything running smoothly within 15 minutes. Watching her take charge was weirdly attractive, like seeing a different side of someone you thought you knew. "I love the energy," she told me once when she came home at midnight, kicking off her heels and flopping dramatically onto the bed. "Everyone stressed, the stakes feel stupidly high, and then somehow it all comes together, and you're the only one who knows how close it came to falling apart." "Like being a superhero," I said. She grinned, eyes closed. "Exactly, except instead of a cape I get blisters and drunk groomsmen hitting on me." "I'm not like that. I work in IT support for a mid-size company. My days are password resets, helping people find files they swear just disappeared, and occasionally saving the day when a server decides to die. It's quieter, more predictable. Honestly, I kind of like the routine. The worst crisis I usually face is someone unplugging their monitor and swearing it just turned off by itself." Lily used to say she liked that about me. "You're my calm," she'd tell me, tracing patterns on my arm while we lay in bed. "You make all the noise in my head quiet down." I clung to that sentence for a long time. We moved in together after a year and a half. It was her idea. She turned up at my place with a real estate app open on her phone and this excited look on her face. "Look," she said, practically shoving the screen into my nose. 2 bedrooms, balcony, actual kitchen. We wouldn't have to play Tetris with your pots anymore." "You want to live with my pots," I joked. I want to live with you, idiot, she said, rolling her eyes affectionately, and your pots are part of the package. The apartment we ended up with wasn't the one on her phone that day, but it was close enough. Top floor of an old building that still had original skirting boards and a slightly haunted-looking laundry in the basement. We painted one wall in the living room this deep blue that Lily swore would make the space feel moody, not small. We bought a second-hand couch off Marketplace and dragged it up 3 flights of stairs, arguing and laughing and swearing we never move again. That first year living together was good. I don't know how else to put it. There were small fights about dishes and whose turn it was to take the bins down. We had stupid moments, like the time I shrank her favorite jumper in the wash and she cried, not really about the jumper at all, then apologized for overreacting. But most nights were quiet in the comfortable way. Dinner, some show, trading stories about our days. She put a photo of us from that trivia night on the fridge, with a cactus magnet. The first time she mentioned him, it barely registered. We were in bed scrolling on our phones, that soft blue glow making everything look a little unreal. I've got this new client tomorrow, she said. Big tech company, their marketing guy seems intense. Intense how? I asked. Half distracted by a video of a dog doing parkour. Like, he's already emailed me 8 times and the event isn't for 3 months, she said, but he actually seems to know what he's talking about, which is rare. Might be nice to work with someone who gets logistics instead of some CEO's clueless nephew. What's his name? I asked. Josh, she said, I think, or maybe it was Jard, one of the J ones. I grunted in acknowledgement and went back to my video. If I could go back to that moment, I'd probably throw my phone off the balcony and make myself pay more attention. Not because knowing his name would have changed anything, but because it feels like the exact point where the fork in the road appeared and I just kept walking like there was only one path. Over the next few months, Josh became part of Lily's background commentary. Josh wants to do a keynote with live polling, which is actually kind of cool. Josh pushed back on the venue choice and he was right. I hate that he was right. Josh sent the funniest gif in the team email today. It didn't bother me at first. I talk about my coworkers too. I've definitely ranted about Printer Guy or Karen from accounts more times than Lily ever needed to hear. But there was a shift eventually, subtle, but it happened. His name moved from client context to extra. Like the Monday night she came home later than usual, cheeks flushed from the cold. Sorry I'm late, she said, dropping her bag and heading straight for the fridge. Post-meeting drinks ran long. With the client, I asked, closing my laptop. Yeah, she said, popping open a can of sparkling water. Well, mostly me and Josh by the end. Everyone else bilayed early because they have no stamina. She smirked. I felt this weird little twinge in my stomach. I told myself it was stupid. How is Josh? I asked lightly. He's exhausting in the best way, she said, leaning against the kitchen bench. He's one of those people who always has a new idea, you know, like you feel smarter just talking to him, and he actually listens when I push back. It's refreshing. That's good, I said, trying to mean it. Sounds like you work well together. She nodded, then crossed the room to kiss the top of my head. Don't worry, she said teasingly. He's married to his job. I laughed. The twinge didn't go away. The thing is, there wasn't one giant, obvious betrayal moment. No lipstick on a collar, or catching them in bed, or anything dramatic like that. It was a series of small shifts that I ignored until they weren't small anymore. Lily started working later. At first it was tied to specific events. Big launch next week, I'll probably be home late most nights. That made sense. Then it became a more constant thing. Josh and I are brainstorming a new format. I'll be home after 9. There's a drinks thing with the client. I kind of have to go. We are doing a site visit and then dinner. Every time she'd kiss me on the cheek, say, "Don't wait up if you're tired," and leave wearing one of the blazers that made her look like she belonged in some kind of glossy magazine spread. I'd say, okay, cool, have fun, because what was the alternative? No, stay home with me and watch another episode of whatever we've already seen. I tried to be understanding. I know what it's like when work gets intense. You get swept up in deadlines and you tell yourself it's temporary. I cooked more. I did more of the cleaning. When she came home exhausted and half-wired, I made tea and rubbed her shoulders. You're a saint, she'd mumble into my chest. I don't deserve you. Those words sting in retrospect. Back then I smiled and said, shut up, of course you do, because I believed it. The first concrete thing that felt wrong happened about 4 months before the door scene. It was a Friday. I'd finished work early because a server upgrade went smoother than expected. I decided to surprise Lily by making her favorite dinner, homemade tacos with way too many toppings, and buying that fancy ice cream she likes that costs more than it has any right to. She sent me a text around 3 p.m. Client rehearsal at 5, might be late. Don't wait dinner for me if you're hungry, Red. I spent an hour chopping things, rearranging our tiny table, lighting a candle like some stereotype. I put on a playlist we both liked. The apartment smelled like cumin and lime. By 7, I was hungry and decided to eat. I kept her plate in the oven to stay warm. At 8:30, she still wasn't home. No text. I tried calling, it went to voicemail. By 9:15, my brain had gone through every scenario from she's just busy to she's been in a car accident and was approaching full panic. I sent another text. Hey, everything okay? No response. At 9:42, my phone buzzed. It was a photo, Lily and a group of people in a bar, glasses raised. She was next to a guy I recognized from her descriptions. Tall, dark hair, sharp jawline. Josh. His arm was slung a little too comfortably around the back of her chair. Her caption read, "We nailed it, sorry babe, post-rehearsal drinks got out of hand. Love you, Roman 20. The relief that she was safe crashed into something else I didn't want to name yet. I typed and deleted 3 different replies before settling on, "Glad it went well, let me know when you're heading home." She replied with a heart and a promise. She got in around 1 a.m., slightly drunk, smelling like gin and whatever cologne the guy next to her had been wearing. I was half asleep on the couch. "You didn't have to wait up," she said, kicking off her heels clumsily. "I was worried," I said. "You didn't answer my calls." She winced, flopping down next to me. "I know, I'm sorry. Music was loud, my phone was in my bag, and then we were arguing about whether we should do live Q&A or pre-submitted questions. I wanted to say you still could have checked once in 4 hours. Instead, I swallowed it. It's fine," I said, even though it was. "I just made tacos, they're in the fridge." Her eyes lit up. "You made tacos for me." "For us," I corrected, but she was already kissing me, thanking me, telling me I was the best. It's hard to hold on to anger when the person you love is curled against your side, mumbling apologies and smelling like your favorite perfume. Still, that night stuck with me. I started noticing all the times she said "we" about work stuff and I wasn't included in the "we." It was always Josh and I. Then I found the messages. I wasn't snooping. I know everyone says that, but I genuinely was. It was a stupid, mundane thing. Her phone was on the coffee table, screen up. I was sitting right there playing a game on my laptop. She was in the shower getting ready for some brunch thing with an old uni friend. Her phone buzzed, the preview popped up. "Josh, still thinking about last night, lol." My stomach dipped, my eyes flicked to the bathroom door. The water was running. I stared at the screen, frozen. I swear to God, I could have put the phone face down and pretended I hadn't seen it. That was an option. Another little fork in the road. But something in me, some tiny angry part that was tired of giving benefit of the doubt, reached out and unlocked her phone. She told me her passcode ages ago so I could cue up music while she drove. The chat with Josh was near the top. I opened it. What I saw wasn't explicit. No nudes, no "can't wait to do that thing again." It was worse in a way. "Josh, I swear I haven't laughed that hard in months." Lily, pretty sure the waiter thought we were on a date. "Josh, joke's on him, I don't go on dates." Lily, you just collect emotionally unavailable women and intense deadlines. Josh, hey, you're not emotionally unavailable. Lily, you sure about that? Josh, pretty sure after last night's TED talk about your childhood, lol. Lily, God, I overshared so much. Josh, I liked it. Josh, I like knowing what's under the "I've got this" mask. Lily, you see way too much. Josh, that's kind of the point, isn't it? Scroll. Josh, I love that you care so much. Lily, it's exhausting sometimes. Josh, I know, but you're not alone in it anymore. Lily, that's what it feels like I'm not carrying it by myself. Red. I stopped breathing for a second, my ears were ringing. Scroll. Lily, can't believe how easy it is talking to you. Josh, same. Josh, like we fast-forwarded 5 years of small talk. Lily, wow, imagine if that's what we'd actually done. Josh. I locked the phone and put it back exactly where it had been, hands shaking. I could hear Lily singing off-key in the shower, like nothing in the world was wrong. My chest felt like it had been filled with smoke. No hard evidence, right? That's what I told myself for days. Just emotional intimacy, just work friends, just something that wasn't supposed to hurt this much but did. I tried to bring it up gently. We were doing dishes a couple nights later, that stupid domestic dance you do in a small kitchen. One rinses, one dries, you bump hips and pretend it's cute. You've been spending a lot of time with Josh, I said, aiming for casual. She glanced at me, then back at the plate in her hands. We're working on a huge event, she said. It's crunch time. I read some of your messages, I blurted. My heart leapfrogged into my throat. On your phone. She froze, the plate in her hand slid a little under the water. You what? It buzzed. I saw a preview and I looked. I swallowed. I know I shouldn't have, I'm sorry, but I saw enough to feel like I'm not crazy for worrying. Her jaw tightened. So you just decided my privacy was optional. Lily, come on, I said. He's texting you about last night and how much he likes knowing what's under your mask and how you're not alone anymore. You're telling him you feel like you fast-forwarded 5 years with him. You can't tell me that's just normal client talk. Her cheeks flushed, whether from anger or guilt I couldn't tell. You're taking that out of context, she said. Okay, I said, hands up. Give me the context then. We were talking about work, she said, and life, and yes, I vent to him, because he gets what I'm dealing with in a way you don't. That doesn't mean I don't love you. Do you? I asked, before I could stop myself. She flinched. For a moment, something raw flashed across her face. Of course I do, she said, but it sounded less certain than it used to. Then why does it feel like you live 2 different lives? I said quietly. One with me, where we talk about our days and eat pasta and watch TV, and one with him, where you talk about who you are underneath everything and what you're scared of and what you want. Her eyes filled with tears. That's not fair, she whispered. Isn't it? I asked. I feel like I get the edited version of you. He gets the director's cut. She slammed the plate onto the drying rack a little too hard. I can't be everything for you, she said, and you can't be everything for me. Sometimes you need people who understand different parts of you. That's normal. Is it normal to hide it from your boyfriend? I said. To lie about where you're going, to not answer his calls while you're out with the guy you're emotionally fast-forwarded with. Her eyes flicked to mine, and for the first time I saw it clearly. Guilt. I didn't lie, she said weakly. Still thinking about last night, I quoted. What happened last night, Lily? She pressed the heels of her hands into her eyes. We had drinks, she said. We talked. I might have said some things about us that I should have said to you. I know that. Did you kiss him? I asked. The question felt like stepping off a cliff. She didn't answer. That was answer enough. I felt something inside me go very, very quiet. Okay, I said, so where does that leave us? She dropped her hands, mascara smudged under her eyes. I don't know, she said. I'm confused. I feel things with him I haven't felt in a long time. It's exciting. It's like this version of me I thought I'd lost. But you're your home, you're my safety. Like a weighted blanket, I said flatly. She winced. Don't do that, she said. Don't make it sound like I've just been using you. Haven't you? I asked, not even angrily, just tired. She shook her head, tears spilling over. I love you, she said. That hasn't changed. I'm just trying to work out what I want. You mean who you want, I corrected. She didn't deny it. We agreed, if you can call it that, to take some space. She'd stay with her friend Jess for a week. We'd both think. She'd get some clarity. That week was hell. The apartment felt hollow, like someone had scooped out half the sounds. Her mug on the dish rack, her shoes by the door, the dent in the couch where she always curled up. Everything screamed temporary, like she'd walk back in any minute, apologizing for the melodrama. We texted a little, then less. She sent one message that just said, I'm trying to be honest with myself. I sat on the balcony one night, freezing my ass off, staring at my phone and typing something like, does being honest mean admitting you're in love with him? I deleted it. I typed, I miss you, deleted that too. In the end, I sent nothing. On day 6, Daniel came over with beers, and the kind of tight-lipped concern only a longtime friend can have. You need to prepare yourself, he said finally, after listening to me talk in circles for half an hour. For what? I asked, even though I already knew. That she might choose him, he said, and that it won't be because you're not enough, but because she's chasing something else. You can't control that. I hate that you're probably right, I muttered. I am always right, he said automatically, then softened. Look, man, I know you. You'll twist yourself into knots trying to see what you did wrong. Sometimes people just make shitty choices that have nothing to do with how much you tried. I wanted to believe that. I also couldn't stop replaying every moment in our relationship where I'd chosen the cooch over going out, the safe conversation over the vulnerable one, the it's fine over actually, this hurt me. On day 7, Lily texted, "Can I come by tonight to talk?" I stared at the screen for a full minute before replying. "Yeah. What time?" "7. Okay." I spent the afternoon cleaning the apartment like some desperate part of me thought a spotless kitchen might convince her to stay. I changed the sheets. I took out the bin. I even rearranged the plants she left on the balcony so they weren't drooping. It was pathetic. I knew it was pathetic as I was doing it. I couldn't stop. At 7:12 there was a knock. She still had a key, but she knocked. That told me more than I wanted to know. I opened the door. She looked different, not dramatically, no new haircut or anything. Just tired in a way that didn't seem entirely physical. She was wearing jeans and a grey jumper I recognized as hers, hair in a low ponytail. No makeup, or at least not the usual kind. "Hey," she said softly. "Hey," I replied, stepping aside. "Come in." She walked past me, the faint smell of her shampoo trailing after her. She stopped in the living room and looked around like she was visiting someone else's house. "You cleaned," she said. "Yeah," I said, suddenly self-conscious. Needed to do something. We sat on opposite ends of the couch. There was a cushion between us like some neutral border zone. "How was Jess?" I asked, because my brain doesn't know how to start any other way. "Fine," she said. "Messy, she has a cat now." "Good for Jess," I said, and immediately wanted to punch myself for making small talk at the end of my relationship. She chewed on her bottom lip. It's a habit I used to find cute. Now it just made my stomach lurch. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," she said. "Me too," I said. She nodded, eyes on her hands. "I keep going back and forth," she said, "between what we have and what I feel when I'm with him." She couldn't even say his name. "I feel guilty even saying that. You've never done anything wrong. You've been good to me, better than I deserved, probably." "Please don't say that," I said quietly. "It doesn't help." She swallowed. "I know," she said. "Sorry." Silence stretched, filled with all the things neither of us wanted to say out loud. "I realized something this week," she said finally. "Being with you feels like breathing out, like I can relax, be held, not worry about everything for once. Being with him feels like being on the edge of a cliff, terrifying and exhilarating and alive." "Sounds exhausting," I said, because my petty side couldn't resist. She almost smiled. "It is," she said, "but I can't stop thinking about it, about him, about what it would be like if I let myself jump." My heart actually hurt, like there was a physical ache in the center of my chest. "And what about what happens when the adrenaline wears off?" I asked. "When it's just bills and laundry and someone forgetting to buy milk?" She looked at me, eyes shining. "I don't know," she said. "Maybe it crashes and burns. Maybe it doesn't. But I know that staying here because I'm afraid to find out that isn't fair to you." "Staying here because you love me isn't an option?" I asked. I hated how desperate I sounded. Tears spilled over now. "I do love you," she said. "Just not in the way you deserve anymore, not in the way you need." "What about in the way you need?" I asked, because it seems like that's the only thing that matters right now. She winced. "That's not, look, if I stay I'll resent you," she said quickly. "Not because you did anything wrong, but because a part of me will always wonder, and that poison will seep into everything. You don't deserve to be the person I settle for because I was too scared to go." I stared at her, stunned. "Settle," I repeated. The word hit like a slap. Her hands flew to her mouth. "I didn't mean." "You did," I said, standing up too fast. The room swayed for a second. "You did mean it. You just shouldn't have said it out loud." "It's not about you not being enough," she said, standing too, reaching out. I stepped back. "Then what is it about?" I asked. Because from where I'm standing, it sounds a lot like you've decided I'm the safe choice you outgrew, and he's the exciting one you just have to try or you'll die of curiosity. She opened her mouth, closed it again. A tear slipped down her cheek. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "Stop saying that," I snapped. "If you're sorry, don't go." She looked at me with this expression I can't even describe properly. Love and guilt and determination and something like grief. "I have to," she said. "No," I said, "you want to, that's different." We stared at each other across the coffee table, like we were on opposite sides of a river. "I didn't come here to fight," she said quietly. "I came to tell you the truth. I'm with him now. I told him I needed to end things properly with you before we go any further. I owe you that much. You owe me more than a courtesy breakup, I said, feeling something hot and bitter rise in my throat. You owe me honesty. You owe me the last few months of my life back. That's not possible, she said, voice cracking. I wish it was. I bet you do, I said. She looked toward the door, then back at me. I know you're angry, she said. You have every right to be. I can't stay and pretend anymore. That would be worse for both of us. Do you love him? I asked, because apparently I like stepping on my own heart. She hesitated. That tiny pause told me more than any sentence could. I'm falling for him, she said. I don't want to lie about that. My knees gave out. I sat back down on the couch, because I honestly thought I might faint otherwise. Okay, I said, because what else was there? Okay. She moved toward me like she was going to touch my shoulder, then seemed to think better of it and let her hand drop. I'll get my stuff another time, she said. Jess said I can stay with her until I sort out a place. We can talk about the lease and bills when you're ready. I don't want to just dump everything on you. You already did, I said. You just called it love first. She flinched like I'd hit her. For a second, I almost apologized. Then I remembered she was about to walk out of my life and into his, and decided she could sit with one sharply worded sentence. I'm sorry, she said again, because apparently that's the only spell she knows. I stood up, suddenly done, completely, totally wrung out. Then go, I said. My voice sounded weirdly calm, like it belonged to someone else. If you're with him now, go be with him. She stepped toward the door, pausing with her hand on the knob. She looked back at me, eyes glossy. I hope one day you can forgive me, she whispered. You're a good man. You'll find someone who chooses you first. Yeah, I said. I hope you find someone who doesn't get bored once the cliff dive is over. Her mouth opened like she wanted to argue, or explain, or say one more thing to soften the edges. In the end, she didn't. She just whispered, I can't stay anymore, I'm with him now, and closed the door. Which brings us back to me, standing there like an idiot with a dish towel at my feet. After a while, my legs remembered how to move. I locked the door. I turned off the tap in the kitchen. The apartment suddenly seemed full of small, stupid noises, the fridge humming, a car alarm outside, the ticking of the cheap clock Lily insisted we buy because analog is calming. I walked into the bedroom and sat on the edge of the bed. Her pillow still smelled like her. There was a hair tie on the bedside table, one of those thin black ones she's always losing. I picked it up and turned it over in my fingers until it snapped. I didn't cry at first, I just felt empty, like someone had scooped out everything inside me and left the shell. My brain did this weird thing where it started making lists, like I was troubleshooting a tech issue. Call the real estate agent about the lease. Message landlord Ray, removing one name. Cancel Lily's share of the electricity, direct debit. Tell Daniel, tell Mum, actually don't tell everyone yet. Eventually the lists ran out and the feelings caught up. It hit me all at once, this wave of grief and humiliation and anger, and something that felt uncomfortably like relief. Relief that the waiting was over. That I didn't have to keep analyzing every message, every late night, every inside joke with a man I'd never met. I curled up on top of the covers and cried so hard my throat hurt. Ugly, snotty crying, the kind you'd never let anyone see. I cried for the version of my life where that door closed behind us. Coming back from a movie, or a long day at work, not behind her leaving to go be alive with someone else. I cried for all the times I'd said it's fine when it really was. I cried because she'd chosen him, yes, but also because somewhere along the way I'd chosen to shrink instead of risk being too much. The days since then have been messy. People want to give you narratives when you get left for someone else. She's awful, you're better off. Maybe this is what needed to happen for you to find your real person. She'll regret it when the excitement fades. I know they mean well, it doesn't land. It's like putting a band-aid on a broken leg. Daniel has been my lifeline. He comes over with takeaway and bad jokes. He doesn't try to fix it, he mostly just sits in the wreckage with me. My mum, bless her, went full protective mode when I told her over the phone. She threw away a good man for some flashy stranger, she said. That's on her, not you. I didn't have the heart to explain that he's not some cartoon villain. From what little I know, Josh sounds like a decent person. Ambitious, driven, probably charming. I'd bet money he believes what he feels for Lily is real and worth blowing up lives over. It would be easier if he were a jerk. I started seeing a therapist, partly because I didn't want this to harden into all women do this bitterness. Her name is Priya. She has kind eyes and a terrifying ability to sit in silence until I say the thing I don't want to say. I feel replaceable, I told her in our second session. Like I was just this soft landing spot until she found the real, exciting love story she wanted. Where did you learn that being steady and kind made you less worthy? She asked. I thought about my dad, who left when I was 15 for a woman who was more spontaneous. About how my mum cried in the laundry so we wouldn't see, and how I heard anyway. About the vow I made to myself to never be that guy who abandoned people. I guess it's always been in the background, I admitted. This idea that the guy who stays is the guy who gets left. Priya nodded. Lily's choice says something about Lily, she said gently. It also shines a light on some beliefs you've been carrying for a long time. Being the one who stays doesn't make you weak or boring, it makes you consistent. Some people will value that, some won't. That doesn't change the value itself. I'm trying to believe her. Some days I do. Some days I scroll past a photo in our group chat of Lily at some rooftop bar, wind in her hair, a blurred male shape beside her, and the old story floods back. See, you weren't enough. I muted her on social media. Haven't blocked, because apparently I like to torture myself with the theoretical possibility of checking. But for now, it's out of sight. I've started reclaiming little pieces of the life we built as my own. I moved the couch to a different wall. I donated the ugly lamp she loved. I painted over the deep blue accent wall with a lighter color. The first stroke of primer felt oddly cathartic, like erasing a shared decision to make room for a new one. I bought new sheets. Small things. Physical proof that the story is still moving. I also catch myself laughing again, sometimes. At a stupid meme, at something someone says at work, at the cat who likes to sit in the exact spot of sunshine on my kitchen floor. The first time I laughed without it feeling like a betrayal of my own pain, I noticed it like a weird sound in another room. I haven't started dating. It feels too early, too raw. The idea of letting someone that close when my insides still feel held together by tape freaks me out. But I also don't feel like I'm going to be alone forever. That's a new development. If there's a point to this long ramble, maybe it's this. Love is not a guarantee. You can do everything right and still have someone decide they want something completely different. You can be someone's home and still watch them walk out the door because they're chasing fireworks. It's easy to vilify them. It's easy to vilify yourself. The truth, like always, is messier. Lily didn't become a bad person overnight. She also didn't turn into a better person by choosing her truth over my heart. She's just human, flawed, confused, selfish in the way most of us are when we're terrified of settling and equally terrified of being alone. I'm human too. I made mistakes. I let my fear of conflict turn into silence. I assumed stability meant security. I told myself being the easygoing one would protect me from this exact thing, and I was wrong. But here's what I know now, sitting on this couch in an apartment that's slowly becoming mine again. I would rather be the person who stays, who shows up, who loves quietly and consistently, than the person who whispers at the door that they're with someone new and leaves. One day, I hope I'll be with someone who thinks that's not a consolation prize, but the whole point. Someone who doesn't talk about me like the prologue to their real story. Until then, I'll keep doing the small things, making my own dinners, going for walks, learning to sit with the emptiness without rushing to fill it with noise, letting the hurt exist without letting it define me. She whispered, I can't stay anymore, I'm with him now, and closed the door. I'm still here, and for the first time in a while, that feels like the beginning of a sentence, not the end.